I've had a lot of fun building this new grandfather clock prop for my haunted house. This is actually the second one I've built. I made my first one maybe 15 years ago, but it wasn't nearly as good as this. Fortunately, experience is a great teacher, and that helped make this one that much better. Of course, this clock is inspired by the one in Disney's Haunted Mansion ride, but if you're familiar with that clock, you'll notice some differences. This actually looks more like a clock pictured in concept art created by legendary Disney Imagineer Rolly Crump back in the day. That was intentional. Now, nobody should confuse me with a maker of fine furniture. This would never compare to a real grandfather clock that cost thousands of dollars. The materials and parts for this project cost about $200. I have a table saw, a few tools, and just enough know-how to be dangerous. In a haunted house, you expect things to be grungy, and it's amazing how many flaws are hidden in the dark. Still, I'm pretty happy with how this came out. This shot here of the build in progress shows the basic construction. It's just 1/4-inch plywood supported by 2x2s. If you use this design concept, I advise you to spend a little more to get straight boards. I opted for the cheap crooked ones and had a heck of a time getting things square. The bigger pieces are screwed together, but I also used a lot of Gorilla Glue construction adhesive. The base is cut out of a length of 2x6 board. It gives the cabinet a heavy foundation so it won't fall over easily. I'd love to say I carved all that wood detail by hand, but it actually came courtesy of Lowe's Home Improvement Store. I found some very cool looking lengths of trim, and you'd be amazed at the number of little wood detail pieces you can find in that same section of the store. The teeth were just cut from scrap pieces of 1/4-inch plywood and glued in place. I'd say the biggest improvement for this clock over my old one is the actual clock face. I tried painting it onto the wood and it never looked right. Then I tried using a circular metal plate, but it looked more industrial than Gothic. I thought about using a real grandfather clock face, but it's impossible to find one with a big 13 at the top. This time around I got smart and custom designed it as a graphic on my computer. Then I sent it to Signs.com for them to print onto a round plastic sheet in the perfect size. A little Gorilla Glue, and voila! I'm embarrassed to say that it took me a while to figure out that the best way to get realistic-looking clock movement is to use real clock parts. I used this heavy-duty swing for the pendulum. You need one specifically made for grandfather clocks because it has to support a decent amount of weight. The clock hands are real as well, but they needed to move differently than a real clock. I used this 30 RPM motor for that. Gloss brown spray paint and a dusting of flat black are what I used for the finish. For the green accent lights, I used a 10-foot adhesive strip of LED lights along the edges of the inside. I'm excited to see how it looks in its natural habitat of my haunted house. I'll have to wait until October to see that, though.